Today, 1 year after Lisa, we are introducing the third industry milestone product, Macintosh.
Hello, I am Macintosh. It is with considerable pride that I introduce a man who's been like a father to me, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs was the creator and co-founder of the electronics company Apple. He helped to design and create products such as the iMac, iPhone, and the iPod. At the time, these products were revolutionary and life-changing for many people, and today they still are having huge impacts. His company Apple was very successful. It is worth over $500 billion now and has sold over 1 billion products. Steve Jobs was born in San Francisco, California, February 24, 1955. He was adopted by Paul Jobs and Clara Jobs, and they raised him in their house in Mountain View, California. It was in this house his father got Steve interested in electronics. Paul worked as a mechanic and a carpenter and taught his son rudimentary electronics and how to work with his hands. Paul showed Steve how to work on electronics in the family garage, demonstrating to his son how to take apart and rebuild electronics like radios and televisions. It was also in this garage that Steve started his company Apple many years later. Steve Jobs was a very smart but troubled kid. He did not get along with all of his classmates and he liked to play pranks on his teachers. He said that, "I know from my own education that if I hadn't encountered 2 or 3 individuals that spent extra time with me, I'm sure I would have been in jail." But in high school, he met Steve Wozniak. Steve Jobs was interested in electronics, but Wozniak, or Woz as friends called him, was obsessed with them. He collected manuals that explained how mini computers were made, and for fun he would try to sketch out designs that would allow them to be built with fewer parts. In 1976, Woz created the Apple I. It was the first pre-assembled computer ever made, having a motherboard with CPU, RAM, and basic textual video chips. Woz was ready to give away all of his designs, but Jobs saw a bigger opportunity. He had the idea of selling the computer. Jobs knew that this idea would work, and that the computer could be the future of technology. So with this new design, in 1976, he and Woz started their company Apple. When Jobs somehow managed to get them their first order of 50 Apple I's for $25,000, they had no parts, no money to buy them, and no place to put computers together. But because of Jobs and Woz's ambition, they were able to overcome their difficult tasks, and because of that, Apple blossomed into one of the most, if not the most popular, and influential computer companies. Apple was extremely successful. But then, in 2011, tragedy struck.
Flags fly at half-mast at Apple's headquarters in Cupertino, California, mourning the loss of its founding father, Steve Jobs, dying at the age of 56. Apple has lost a visionary and creative genius, and the world has lost an amazing human being. Those of us who had been fortunate enough to know and work with Steve have lost a dear friend and an inspiring mentor.
Steve Jobs' death got people to think about all of his accomplishments, and also about what kind of person he was.
Well, I've heard that Steve Jobs was not the nicest human being around.
I think he was, I've heard a lot about him, and I think a lot of people say that, like, he didn't do very well in school. Like, he didn't get good grades, he wasn't, like, book smart, but then he was just, like, super creative, and he just had a bunch of really good ideas.
But I think that he was really intelligent and a great businessman. And so, I mean, even if he was kind of a jerk, like, power to him, I guess, then rest in peace.
After the iPhone came out, lots of other companies tried to resemble it. So like Samsung came up with their S series, which is like the S5s, and it's basically an iPhone, and it has a touchscreen. So I think they really revolutionized the touchscreen industry, and they also revolutionized the computer industry, because they came up with the first laptop computer, I guess you could say, and then Microsoft and all those, and Dell and all those other companies tried to like remake it.
So what did Steve Jobs leave behind? What was his legacy?
All the work that I have done, this is a very strange business and a very strange endeavor of life. All the work that I have done in my life will be obsolete by the time I'm, 50. Apple II's obsolete now. Apple I's were obsolete many years ago. The Macintosh is on the verge of becoming obsolete in the next few years. This is a field where one does not write a Principia which holds up for 200 years. This is not a field where one paints a painting that will be looked at for centuries, or builds a church that will be admired and looked at in astonishment for centuries. No, this is a field where one does one's work, and in 10 years it's obsolete, and really will not be usable within 10 or 20 years. I mean, you can't go back and use an Apple I because there's no software for it. In another 10 years or so, you won't be able to use an Apple II. You won't even be able to fire it up and see what it was like. So it's sort of like sediment of rocks. I mean, you're building up a mountain, and you get to contribute your little layer of sedimentary rock to make the mountain that much higher. But no one on the surface will, unless they have X-ray vision, will see your sediment. They'll stand on it. It'll be appreciated by that rare geologist. But no, it's not like the Renaissance at all. It's very different. Very different. So.
But people do appreciate what Jobs has done and how he has affected their lives.
I rely on my phone a lot, and I also rely on my laptop a lot. If I didn't have me, I would probably be bored a lot of the time. So also I would have no access to the world outside, because I could use something just you kind of take that stuff for granted, but it's actually true that you need the internet to have an idea of what's going on outside of your little bubble that's your home and your school, and the laptops and the phones that he's created allow me to do stuff outside of that.
Well, I think everybody talks about the entertainment aspects, oh, I watch iTunes on my computer. Yeah, there's that. But I think Steve Jobs has also really affected the way I learn and how education is prevalent in my life. Almost everything that I do for school, essays and even just checking math homework, I'll do using my computer or using my phone. And it's just provided me with the resources to do things so much more efficiently and so much more accurately.
To me, Apple is a tech company which has reinvented almost everything that you think of as technologies.
And people remember Steve Jobs, not only for his inventions, but also for his personality.
And I read something, which actually uncovered, but it said that Steve Jobs told all of his teachers that hated him that he would be a billionaire by the age of 30, and he was a billionaire by the age of 31.
Good morning, Starbucks and how can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to order 4,000 lattes to go, please. No, just kidding. Wrong number. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay.
But most importantly, people remember Steve Jobs for his beliefs and his words of wisdom.
Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle.
Steve Jobs followed this advice, and because of it, he will always be remembered.
We thank you, Steve Jobs,
for making us love Apple.
For making technology into art.
For a handheld internet.
For still changing the world.
For saving lives with Red.
for spreading American ingenuity worldwide.
For exploring beyond our reach.
A unique, far-reaching, irreplaceable mind.
For making the classroom fun.
Steve Jobs was insanely great.
He made turtlenecks sexy again.
A meticulous attention to detail.
43 patented inventions. Check Wikipedia.
Thank you for thinking different.